Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, reveal the books I bought this week, and, if I screw up, a blooper reel. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the 200th episode of the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that logo! Welcome to the 200th episode of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Southern Realms Comics and Games here in Ruston, Louisiana. Wow, 200 episodes.
At some point, someone's going to turn traitor.
You know what? Not a lot of folks can say that they've hosted a web series or a podcast and say they've done 200 episodes. I knew that when I started doing this back in 2013, I knew that I was going to have to stay the course and just keep doing it. And that's why a few years after the very first episode, I made a New Year's resolution and a promise to everyone on the show that I would continue to do this show until I am physically unable to. And what I mean is not mentally, but physically. But I just want to thank everyone who's been with me along this ride from the beginning, and I also want to thank folks that have come later. Yeah, including Ryan Keys. But this isn't going to be like the 100th episode where I was being all mushy and showing old cues and whatnot. But yeah. Oh, if you were wondering who that was my longtime friend Brian Ferguson. We went to high school together, and he and his wife Katie, came over here to be a part of this. Oh, by the way, for everyone who decided not to show up, you're missing out because I cooked Black Eyed Pea Jambalaya for everyone who came. But anyway, enough of that. It's time to give away a free t-shirt. All right, last week's episode, I asked which founding member of the Avengers once served as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, the correct answer is Iron Man. Shortly after, what I mean by Iron Man, of course, I mean Tony Stark. Shortly after the first Civil War, which happened just over a decade ago, in which Tony Stark assumed the role of director of S.H.I.E.L.D., a position that he had for a long time until the Secret Invasion, in which the Skrulls showed up, and then Norman Osborn took over. But anyway, 6 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their name has entered in the drawing for a free tee, and that drawing takes place right now. So, the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is... Wow. Ladies and gentlemen,
You're the male pattern ball guy.
The person whose name I just drawn is someone who is currently in the store right now. This person is a longtime fan of the show, and for the last few months, whenever I come in, they always gave me a bear hug. Christian Nord from Schutrich, Louisiana. So congratulations, Christian. You win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right. Here's the question for next week's episode, and this is a flash question. What is Professor Zoom's real name?
I answer now. Can I get another shirt?
Answer off camera. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Now, Curtis D'Antoni from Warren, Ohio. Here's a question: a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one is very, very cybernetic. And what I mean by cybernetic, I mean good versus evil, unlike anything you've ever seen. Representing IDW, we have Optimus Prime. And representing Marvel, we have Ultron. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Optimus Prime versus Ultron. Optimus Prime possesses unlimited adaptation, berserker strength, blast power, electronic interaction, empathy, energy-based construct projection, energy-enhanced strike, gadgets, intellect, invulnerability, leadership, longevity, marksmanship, shapeshifting, stamina, stealth, super speed, super strength, tracking, unarmed combat skills, and a mastery of weapons. Ultron is an artificial intelligence with genius-level intellect. His abilities via robot body vary, but generally include superhuman strength, speed and durability, flight, and energy blast. Who will win? Ultron would send copies of himself to soften up Optimus. They wouldn't waste any time going after him, but Optimus would have the last and only laugh. Prime would shred through them like aluminum foil, going untouched. Now the fight begins. Optimus Prime, via his gun, would deliver a direct hit to Ultron's mouth. Prime would then create an energy-based construct of an axe and continue on the attack. His axe attack barely leaves a dent due to Ultron's hide being made of adamantium. Ultron suddenly cuts Optimus Prime's legs out from underneath him and pins him to the ground. With his other hand, Ultron attempts to rip Optimus' head off. Suddenly, Prime's chest opens and the matrix of leadership illuminates. Prime then utters, "Light our darkest hour." Then in orbit, impenetrable energy disintegrates Ultron. Optimus Prime wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that fight, and if you have fight requests for future episodes, contact info is down there. Alright, then it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there are three things I'm going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and two of them have to do with Captain Marvel. Now, Captain Marvel, the folks that wrote the screenplay for it, at first when they were being interviewed, when production and casting were going on, they had said that they were not going to write that Carol Danvers was in the U.S. Air Force. Now, for those of y'all that have been with me for a long time, I used to have a web series that was apart from this show called Comically Speaking. And on the second episode, I was pretty upset about the fact they were leaving out the Air Force. Now, the reason being was because the Hal Jordan Green Lantern is also Air Force. And I'm thinking, that makes no sense because they're from two different publications. And not only that, but the Air Force is what makes Carol. But they have written in that she was in the Air Force. They had a lot of scenes where they were over at Edwards Air Force Base. And so yeah. Now the second thing, y'all probably have seen this week, Brie Larson, who of course is playing Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel, was in her costume, but the costume wasn't red, blue, and gold. It was actually a few different shades of green. Take a look. Now, you kind of thought, if you're like me, you probably thought, okay, what the heck are they doing? But then I thought about it, and the original Captain Marvel was a full-blooded Kree warrior, and he wore all green. So this is probably a nod to that. I'm quite sure she's going to be wearing red, blue, and gold real soon. I hope. All right, now the last thing I want to talk about is X-Men related. After many years of dating, and then they got back together. Kitty Pryde and Colossus are getting married. That's right, folks. It's finally happening, and it's going to happen in a future episode of X-Men Gold that's going to come out in stores everywhere later on this summer. So I kind of figured that was going to happen. I was hoping it was going to happen. I kind of got very, very, very upset when I found out that they were breaking up. I'm thinking, that's like one of the most, well, that's one of the most ridiculously underrated couples in comics. Not just in the Marvel Universe, but comics as a whole. And when that happened, I thought, and then what was so messed up? Colossus wasn't with anyone, and then Kitty Pryde dated guys like Nightcrawler and, of all people, Iceman.
Pete Wisdom.
Oh yes, that's right, Pete Wisdom too. But now that they're back together, works for me. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, I'm not going to give a brief description of each book. I'm just going to let you know what they are. First up is Teen Titans number 16. Black Panther number 169. Hal Jordan and Green Lantern Corps number 37. Action Comics number 996. Doomsday Clock number 3. The Flash number 39. Wonder Woman number 39. Secret Warriors number 8. Secret Warriors number 10. Secret Warriors number 11. And finally, Detective Comics number 973. All right, that's 11 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 8,460. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the 200th episode of the Comic Hero Show. Here's the question again for our free tee for next week's episode of the show. What is Professor Zoom's real name? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee in next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Christian Nord from Shudrick, Louisiana, who won a free tee in this week's episode. All right, it's birthday time here on the Comic Hero Show, and happy birthday to Caleb Hansen, Mariah Adams, Ashley Williams, James Muse, Sheila Hogg, Katrina Crow, Sharon Warren, Latasha Ramey, Kevin Muse, Molly Cummings, and Kamisha Washington. All right, man, this I tell you, 200 episodes. I mean, words just can't describe just how humbled I am to get to this milestone. There have been folks that have watched my show and have stopped along the way. There have been folks that have watched my show and curly with me. There are even folks that have watched my show and who are no longer with us. But I want to thank everyone who has currently watched and are going to watch my show. You know, sometimes you have to speak things into being even though they aren't. And that's one thing I learned in life. And next week I'm gonna pick up where I left off. I'm going to wear a Mardi Gras themed Comic Hero tee because, you know, it's Mardi Gras season. And yeah, last week I wore a purple one. And because, you know, this is the 200th episode, I decided to wear a facsimile. This isn't the original shirt that I wore. This is a facsimile of. The old one that I wore just over 4 years ago is a little tattered. So I decided to make a new one. Same color. I think next week I'm going to wear a green Mardi Gras themed Comic Hero tee, and then episode 102 I'm going to wear a gold one. But if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you. If you're here at Southern Realms, I just want to say thank y'all. You know, thank y'all. I just want to thank y'all for putting up with me and the craziness that is the Comic Hero Show. And not only the craziness, but the awesomeness to go along with it. You know, 200 episodes. Let's go for some more. Yeah. All right, I'm Victor Nolly. I'm the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 201, right back here at Southern Realms Comics and Games. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero. Hey y'all, there was one book that got left out, and my apologies, but that book is Amazing Spider-Man number 794. And now with that book, it brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 8,461. All right, thanks for watching. Now enjoy the blooper reel.
Alright, here we go. I forgot about that.
I don't know who else is in here.
It's him,
What's your knowledge? 5?
his knowledge, also 5.
Yeah.
It's Victor, everybody.
I am going to...
Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics too!
I thought... Okay, I was mistaken. Who is that?
They both have
Him. They both have 5.
That's one!
It was Victor.
Yeah.
Now it's half a Victor.
I don't know if
Anthony,
this
you're
fight's
being
so
attacked.
the shot. I'm good for pizza and jambalaya.
We're not picky here. We'll eat anything.
Like,
I
I
know.
love both.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that fight. If you have fight requests for future episodes, contact info is down there. All right, then, it's time for Comically Speaking. You know what?
Maybe we come, so go ahead and start bagging the board.
Not yet. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Oh, I better say it. I'm at 200th. 4! Hey, y'all, there was one book that got left out. That's Amazing Spider-Man number 794. So, with that being said, that brings the total number of comics that was bought.